Hey everyone, I'm Emma Mitchell and I'm an energy healing guide. Today I'm here with Erin and she's going to tell us several stories about ghosts and even a house clearing that I did for her and what was happening beforehand and what happened after and continues to happen after. So thanks, Erin, for being with us today. And let's just get started talking about some of the experiences you had as a kid in your dad's house.
Yeah, hi Emma. So I was about like 10 years old, and my dad had purchased a house from somebody that had unfortunately ended their life in the home. And when I was about 10 years old, I remember seeing um, a spirit walking from like the bathroom where the incident had happened and walking to the bedroom. And although the spirit was really calm, I remember being kind of terrified that I could see this. So I would bring my friends in to the house and say, "You've got to see this," and make sure I wasn't crazy. And no, she saw it too. And we would just go bolting out of the house, like screaming because we got scared. But that was my first kind of connection with seeing spirits in the waking world here.
So when you saw that, did it interact with you? Did he say
Not
anything to
so,
you?
not so much that one. I think he pretty much left me, like left the humans alone. But I do remember just seeing that energy kind of stuck in the house, and I would frequently see that spirit moving. And if for some reason it had like a green aura to it, I just remember that vividly. I haven't seen that since, but that was my first exposure to spirits.
Yeah, I wonder if, and I can do a little psychic reading to see this, but I wonder if the green represents the green aura in waking life, which is the heart chakra. And if you said this man took his own life, maybe he had severe heartbreak or something that was causing this aura color to come out.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's very interesting.
So I'll do a psychic look into this in your next story after you tell the next story, which is about a house that you stayed in with your mom. So, do you want to tell that story?
Yeah, so as a young adult, my mom and I for a year decided that we would live in the same house, and it was this really amazing old farmhouse that was over 100 years old. And I just remember being in my room, and at night I would hear shuffling, like somebody in slippers, where the slippers kind of shuffle, 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 and kind of pacing back and forth outside my bedroom door. And it was really odd. And I was like, why is my mom up? Why is she pacing? Like, this isn't behavior that she normally would do. So I got kind of creeped out, and I was like, I'm going to just go see. And she wasn't spry necessarily. So she's not the type to like pop out of bed and pop back in bed. But I went into her bedroom, and which was pretty much right next to mine. So it was quick, and she was sound asleep. It wasn't her. So I'm like, okay, maybe I'm just imagining things. And so I closed my door again, and I went back to bed and trying to fall asleep, and I'd hear the shuffling again. And so that's when it dawned on me that that was a spirit in the house, and thought they were pacing outside in the hallway.
So, were you able to see the spirit?
I didn't. I didn't. I mean, I remember at one point I was like trying to get it to go away, but it never showed itself in an aura of sorts like I had seen when I was younger. But I could certainly hear it. It was loud shuffling, like it was real.
So, this reminds me of a couple stories, and I've had this story before on a podcast episode, but when I was young, I would hear people walking up and down my hallway at night all the time. And I, as a kid, was like, oh, it's witches and goblins and mummies and all that. But I could hear shuffling, but that was the carpet. But I could hear people walking around. So for you to hear it, was that hardwood floor that you could hear it
Yes.
on?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's just a crazy experience. And did that happen the whole time you lived there?
Yes.
Every night, pretty much?
Mhm. Pretty much. If I was up in the middle of the night, I would hear it.
Oh my gosh. So I told you the story yesterday, and that's what prompted you to remember that story. But the
Mhm.
story I told you was about I was in Buena Vista just a couple weeks ago with my friend and at her dad's condo, and all night long I heard this pacing back and forth, but it sounded like somebody was getting ready for something. And it was back and forth all night long, like all this movement. And the next day I started hearing it again, and I said to my friend, boy, those people above us need to stop. Like, what are they doing up there? And she said, I heard that noise too, but we're on the top floor. Like, there's nothing above
Yeah,
us. Could it be the neighbors maybe next door? And I said, no, you can hear it. It's above us. It's not next door to us. So hearing those footsteps was just a crazy, and it was so loud. Like, you can't explain that away, the loudness of it.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Did your
I
mom ever hear that shuffling?
she one time she did because I asked her, I'm like, "Do you hear this?" But she only heard it once.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you feel like your mom has psychic abilities like you do?
Mm-mm. I don't.
Okay, so maybe the spirit was just making itself known to you and not to her for some reason.
I think she was a sound sleeper, and it was
Oh,
always like in the middle of the night.
okay. All right, so it wasn't that then. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. So I wanted to do a little reading on both of these things before we get into some other stories. But I wanted to look into your dad's old house, and what I'm seeing is, was it kind of like a guy between like 50, like early-ish 50s to maybe 70s, like an older person? Or what did you
that's
see?
probably more my dad. I think it was younger. I think he was in
Really?
his 30s.
So I'm just tuning into your dad right now, which is not helpful to this. Okay, hold on. Let me see
But
if I
that
can.
but his energy was there a lot more than the other guy.
Yeah,
So the other
yeah.
guy lived there maybe for just like 4 years.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, and I know your dad comes through all the time, which we're going to talk about. So maybe I'm just seeing him right now. So hold on a second. Let me orient myself to this home. So I'm definitely getting that he's still there. Like he is stuck in that loop.
I bet.
Did he have dark hair, this person? You couldn't see that.
I don't know.
You don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm kind of seeing, and I don't know for sure, but what I'm getting is like it's the decision. He's in the loop of the decision, like the last possible moment before he goes into the bathroom. That's the loop he's in because maybe he can rewrite the choice. Does that make
Mm,
sense?
yeah.
That's really sad though. Let me see if I can help this guy move along really fast. So I'm just going to call in angels to come down. Yeah, that's not working. I can see him kind of fighting and shrugging off the angel. So I'll work on that later on because I don't
Okay.
like to see ghosts. I don't like to see people in loops. And I did clear somebody's house recently with the man had also committed suicide in the backyard and he was on a loop of that moment. And I did help him move on. But it was really sad to see that,
Yeah.
he was trying to relieve his pain and
Mhm.
then he just got stuck.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really sad. And then on the other, let me see if I can't tune into this other house that you live. Now, you said this other house was in Eagle area, right? With your
Mhm.
mom?
Yeah.
Sorry, it's just taking a moment to see what. Were there stairs in that house?
Yes. It was
Was
beautiful wood banister stairway.
okay. I'm seeing this lady like climbing. up the stairs. Did you ever see her on the stairs or you hear her?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
they're right there.
Getting this image, and of course, sometimes it's not accurate, but what I'm seeing is her climbing the stairs and then having a heart attack or something on the
Oh,
stairs. Yeah. Like an
yeah,
older late, like
yeah.
you
I
know,
kind of got the sense that it was like a 80-year-old, you know.
yeah. Yeah. She's definitely an older lady. I think what you were experiencing was just her going about her nightly routine.
Mhm. That would make sense.
Wow.
Yeah,
But also terrible to be stuck in a loop of a nightly routine at that age, you know?
yeah.
Oh, let me see if I can't help her move on at all. It looks like she's okay with being moved on. So you know this probably because I've told you before, but ghosts don't always want to move on. Like they have an attachment to something, or the unfinished business thing is real. And so sometimes they fight and they want to stay in a home or a place because they don't believe that being moved on is going to be better for them, which is actually
Mhm.
really sad. So once I tune in to that other guy, in your dad's old home, I'll see if I can't convince him to move along. But the old lady was like, "Yes, please, thank you." When the angels
Okay.
came. So at least that's good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, well that's interesting. So we were just talking about your dad. Let's talk a little bit about your dad and how he's visited you and some of the things that you and I have experienced when we've done stuff together.
Yeah, my favorite time was the time that my first introduction to you was your class that you did on. We did it online,
Yeah.
and it was a meditation class, right? And it was you probably remember more of the details, but it was a while ago. But that was a really fun experience where we kind of got in tuned with you asked us, it was three different things and one was an animal, and the squirrel came to mind for a lot of people on the call. I remember too the detail just before we discovered the squirrel. I was like smelling burnt hair in my kitchen, and I was the only one home. I didn't know what was going on with that, but I don't know if you remember that detail. But then the animal and squirrel came up for a lot of people, and my dad always fed the squirrels peanuts in this house that you were just visiting with the spirit. So on the back deck, yeah, he always fed the squirrels. He loved squirrels. He'd rescue squirrels. He just was really. So when the squirrel came into my picture, and there was like two or three other people on the call that also had a squirrel come into their vision in this meditation, we determined that that was probably my dad kind of infiltrating an influence, right?
So what we did for that meditation is called a blind reading. I actually have a blind reading on my website that I can link to, but blind readings are I tell you you're going to see something, and then you see it, and then I tell you what you're seeing or what the question was that it's answering. And the amazing thing that I've noticed with myself and with you and all of my clients is when we know somebody is somebody, we know. Like it's a feeling, it's a knowing, this squirrel is not just a squirrel. This is my dad. And you knew without a doubt that it was your dad. I remember that because yeah, your dad was visiting everybody else's meditation, which was so funny because we had like 9, 10 people on that call. And then another time we did one in the park, and another lady who I'd been working with one on one, her fox spirit guide, which we had already established was one of her guides, was going into your meditation, which was hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah, that was funny. Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that. That was good.
Yeah. So your dad has come through a lot when pretty much whenever we do spirit work.
Mhm.
Do you remember? because you've been in some career transitions. Do you remember any of the things that he's told you or talked to you about?
Gosh, I do. There was like a couple messages that have been very consistent, and helped me remember too. The I'm trying to remember exactly what it was. Like, stay on your path, or like be true to you, kind of messaging. Um, and then let it go, right? Like that was a big message of his. Is just he always lived his life very much on making an impact with people and caring about people and that kind of thing, and not letting the details or the little things get to him. And I could find myself getting very caught up in details that don't really matter. And so just kind of keeping that mindset of just don't sweat the small stuff. I mean, it sounds so elementary, but that's probably the best way to describe like a lot of the messaging I think that we've gotten from him, right?
One message that I'll always remember is before you took a different job than you're in now, he told you, don't just settle for the first job that comes up. And maybe you didn't heed that advice so well, and now you're in a different job after that. So I thought about that so many times of if she just listened to her dad the first
I
time. But
know, right? Totally. Oh my gosh. I do remember that now that you mention it, but yeah, we've just had quite a few. I mean, you just to go to that, like the Reiki sessions that you do for me are amazing, and they've been life changing. I don't know what I would do without you this last year. And also to the house clearing, because what you've done for me and my family with the house is night and day. I mean, unfortunately, before we bought it, we didn't know like that there was some stuff going on in there. And then as the years went on, I definitely started feeling and noticing some things, because I did at a certain point in my life when I had contact with the other side. I made a conscious decision to not be a part of that world anymore. And then meeting you at 4BR, I was like, you know what? I want to get back to this because I knew something was going on at the house and I didn't know how to convince my husband, but also too how to articulate that there's something going on. And so that's where when I met you, I was I need to talk to her. Like, and here we are. So yeah, you've done some incredible things because the house was really interesting. Sorry, I kind of took this for a different turn, but there was just a lot of negative energy in that house from previous owners, and started to really feel the weight of that over the years. And then when you came in and did those clearings, and we've had to do it a couple times, right? Because things came back, but it was just life changing. The energy, the health of me and my family, both mentally and physically, like just really turned around. And so I'm just really thankful for you for that.
oh, thank you, Erin. I just love it so much. And I just love you and your family too. And I'm glad you transitioned to that because we wanted to talk about your house and some of the things that were happening there. One of the stories I remember you telling me was you had seen that house for years, you'd driven by it, and you always had a weird vibe about it. But
Yeah.
when you were looking for a house, they had kind of fixed it up on the outside and you didn't realize it was the same house.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. You brought that up. I forgot that I'd shared that with you. There was definitely like a blackness around the house before, like many years, decades ago. And then for some reason, I didn't pick up on that when we went to purchase it. But I think when you came, you solidified that there was some darkness around it. And um, I think the most noticeable, we started with the house clearing, and then we did house in the land, and then we did some Reiki on me and my family too. And then I think all the combination of that, and even to this day, there's not that negative darkness or blackness in the space. It's amazing. So different. I mean, I used to lose things all the time in my house. And it used to get really cluttered. And I mean, we're family, so we get cluttered, but it was bad. I think you saw it probably at one of its worst too. And we're not hoarders, but it kind of like just piles up against, and I don't know. It was just very interesting once we did that clearing how light the space became and us. you know?
Yeah.
So,
Well, and you guys definitely had some darkness on you from the space too. But let's talk a bit about what you experienced before besides losing stuff, because I know there were some scary things in that house that you experienced before you
mhm.
had me. When you found out I did house clearings, you said, "Look, we got to talk. This house is
Yeah.
I need
Yeah.
your help badly." So what do you want to tell about some of the things you were experiencing?
So, I mean, I have a son. He's about 8 at the time, and he refused to go upstairs by himself or go into his room by himself, or like he just always he was scared. Um, some of the things that kids say you just take with a grain of salt. And so I'd ask him though, because I had experiences as a child with spirits. And I was like, well, maybe he's seeing something. So I started asking him questions. And I think that he saw a little girl who was not nice, and there was an old man who was nice enough, but kind of creeped him out. Those were the things that he communicated to me. And I just thought this was really interesting because my husband doesn't believe in any of that, but I had the experiences as a kid. So I'm like, there could be something to this. Um, I think the most noticeable thing for him after the clearings was he would go upstairs with no problem, and he could be in the room alone by himself, and to the point even where he can be home alone for a short period of time that's appropriate, and be okay. Whereas that never would have happened, I don't think, if we didn't clear the house. I don't know. It's weird. I mean, and then just to talk about my son again, one of my favorite things about you did a Reiki session from afar, right, for him, the very first time that you did that. Ever since that Reiki session, his confidence level has exponentially exploded. And there's no way that that's just coincidence of time and that kind of thing. Like whatever was holding him back from that, definitely you released that. That was like the other thing I wanted to mention too, because it's really powerful.
Yeah, you recently told me that about his confidence. You had said that before, but I thought, oh, okay, whatever. That's cool. He's doing more things. But then you told me this recently and you said, no, you don't understand. He's doing all these things he never would have done, and his confidence is huge. And it just makes me so happy because I do remember he had a couple things in him that were holding him back, but I
Mhm.
can't remember if that was the same situation where he had a spirit attached to him too that was making him say weird things in his dreams. Was that a different one?
Well, there that I think is a different one, but yeah, that was interesting too. That after the house clearings, he had fewer nightmares, like less interruption in sleep, and was that was life changing too for all of us. But yeah, I mean, it's amazing how different the space is. I don't want to go back to the other stuff. But the one night I do remember specifically that was super scary was the demon in the room. He was so scared he was in bed with me, and he
Your son was in bed with you, not the demon, not the demon.
right,
Okay.
yes. And so, but the darkness was so great that I had to leave the room. So we went and slept in the living room because it was just too scary. And I called you the very next day. I think I texted you that night, said later. So you got it first thing in the morning. But like, I need you and your help because this is really scary. And this was after like the first clearing, but something else had just come in, and I felt it. And so, but that was probably the scariest one I had, because the other stuff I wasn't even aware of when you first started clearing. But that one, when it came back or in or whatever, I was just not having it.
Yeah, that was scary. And actually, that was the first demon I ever encountered. I'm going to tell that story, and then
Okay.
I'm going to talk about some of the things we found in your house the first time because
Okay.
this demon story, and I may have actually told this story a long time ago, but Um, when you told me there was something there, I remotely put myself in the space and
Mhm.
immediately saw smoke and got the psychic message from spirit guides or angels that were with me. That's a demon up there. And you had had some scary stuff happen to you earlier that week too, where your husband said something maybe had kind of overtaken your body, or there was some weird stuff going on. And um, you can elaborate on that if you'd like, but that that thing that was in the room, I just went up and just got it out of there as fast as I could and was like, "Oh, that's weird. This is a weird experience." And that was, gosh, almost probably a year ago now that that happened. So since then,
Yeah.
I've found a lot of weirder stuff in people's homes, if you can believe it. But at the time, I thought, okay, I guess I'll tell her what this was. But I texted you that and you said, I'm not surprised. Me and my son both kind of felt it or saw some sort of image of what it was with horns.
Mhm.
And
Oh, right.
I thought, okay, I'm not crazy. They experienced this too. This was in their house. And it had been there a few days.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love the validation without telling you what my vision is that just you come in and do your thing and then to talk to me. And then it's like, yeah, that validation that, okay, yeah, it was real. I mean, it was there.
Yeah, that was crazy. So I want to talk about a couple of things I found in your house the first time. To talk about that little girl, there was this, you have a spare room, and I found this little girl in there, and she was mean, and she was, I was remotely put myself there, and she was throwing me around the room. She was so strong. And I told you about that little girl, and you told me, my son told me there was a mean little girl in that room. So immediately, mind blown that, he saw it too.
Yeah, we kept moving his room around and beds around for years because he's like, well, I don't like that room anymore. I'm gonna go over there. And then we put him over in that room, and he's like, no, I want to go back to that other room. And that room with the little girl, he was the shortest lived. He did not like that room. Yeah, and I mean, he would tell me that that little girl was there and she was mean, and not so many words and not every day or anything, but like it was avoidance and scared to go in there and that kind of stuff. And so I found it really interesting when you said there was this little girl in there, she's really strong. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, your poor son. Goodness knows what he dealt with her, because boy, she was nasty. And then that older man, we found him downstairs in your tenant space, and her father had passed away, and it was her father. So I
I
helped
think
him move along.
I think it was the previous owner's father, just to
Oh,
clarify.
not your tenant. Oh, okay, the
Right.
previous owners. Okay, so yeah, I found him in the living room, and I was sad that he was still there. So I did help him move along, which usually I do, but yeah, I was glad to be able to do that, but your son saw him as well. And then
And animals too, like my dog. Remember the last one that you did not too long ago was my dog would sense something and she like scurry like around the room or like and just stand back and look weird. Um,
yeah.
and you're like, what are you seeing? What's going on? And so that was like a little bit telling too. I was like, okay, we're all experiencing something, so let's take
Yeah.
care of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And your dog's super perceptive. The last thing I want to talk about is we found banshees up in your bedroom
The
that
very
were,
first time, yeah.
yeah, flying around the
And I would
ceiling.
feel the air move and no fan on, but like feel like this swirling air and cooler. Like that's so weird. I must be imagining this. Windows must be open, but I don't. And then you came along, and I'm like, okay, it's a thing. It's just a thing.
Yeah. But again, you didn't tell me that. And I
Mhm.
saw them and I got the the message, these are banshees. And I thought, well, that's also very weird, right? And there were like four of them flying around and helped them get out of the space. They were not yelling, they were not screaming, thank goodness, because what I've learned is, this is Irish folklore, that banshees, if they are screaming, if you encounter one screaming, it means death in a family or death of a loved one or death of you. So these were not screaming, they were just there. And as I was doing a little bit of research, I found that sometimes they just follow families and that they're associated with these very old lineages of Irish families. And didn't you
Why
say
you
you're,
asked me if I was Irish, yeah.
yeah, and you said the people before you thought were Irish, maybe.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was always a weird vibe up there, I'll admit it, but I did, tried to brush it off and not think about it.
Yeah. Now your house feels so welcoming and warm. It's crazy to think that when I first saw it, when I looked into it before I'd been there, all I could see was the same as you, as just black tar covering that whole house. And getting to your house too, it took us hours to clear it in person. Luckily, I've firmed up my process since then, but it was a lot because I cleared it remotely and then I was there in person and there were so many things there. But the biggest thing that I found out was that that land that you're on, luckily since then we've cleared it up, had been cursed. And I don't know, like the message I got was something around people, pioneer people or somebody messing
Yeah.
around with something they shouldn't have and cursed that land. And it just looked like black tar all over that area of land. So you were getting all these things coming in because this tarry stuff was just calling it in, just bringing it inside the house, even though we put up the reinforcements. And then at one point, I had up-leveled my skills and was somehow able to move that tarry stuff off the land. Don't ask me how, but somehow, and I kept asking you, how does it feel? What does your son think? Because he had said he had kind of seen it or sensed it too. Anytime I go to your house now, I don't feel like something is like choking me because that's how I felt every time. Just like the energy was so bad, it was getting in my head, getting in my neck. And now it doesn't feel like that. And I know you
Right.
said it doesn't
Yeah.
either.
Yeah, I mean, we had this really great playground in the backyard for years, and he had no interest in playing in it. When a friend come over, maybe they'd go out there for like 5 minutes and then they're back in. Like, I'm like, why don't you guys want to play on the playground? And I did notice after, like, he is outside. Like, he's like, let's play ball, let's do this. And like, it's not, I don't, just got to be the energy. It's just nicer, and more welcoming on the outside as well as the inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big deal. Well, the last thing I keep saying the last. This is the last thing I want to address is when I do house clearings, I teach you how to protect your home and everything, but sometimes things can latch back onto us and ghosts can follow us home. And the last time you had something else weird in your house that was scary, and I asked, why do these things keep getting in their house? Because we cleared up the land. And the message was that your husband, because he does property management, is in and out of so many homes, and these things really love him. So sometimes he brings guests, non-rent payers home with him. And so sometimes I have to clear your house again, but it's luckily like a quick process every time and pretty inexpensive. But yeah, so sometimes that just happens, or sometimes the land around us has so much stuff on it that, and if you do a house clearing with me, I will tell you because there are several people, even just in this area, where I say, look, you have so much stuff around you that you have to be really diligent to protect your home. But
Yeah.
sometimes it just happens. And I have to clear my house all the time because we're right
Right.
by the highway.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, people.
it just happens.
Yeah. And I liked your used to be the bubble, but now we're kind of focused on the fortress. So it's a
Yes.
little bit more solid. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I like
Another
that.
thing that I learned through my skills developing is the bubble's great, but the fortress around the house, the thick layers of energetic brick or whatever really does help, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool. Well, is there anything else you want to say before we hop off?
No, no, I'm just glad to have met you, and we'll keep you around for a while.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to have met you too, Erin. So thanks so much for coming on here and talking about your experiences today with me and with all the stuff that we're doing, because you have, really strong abilities and it's really helped, I think, so far guide you in the path that you want to be on.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that too. That's the whole other side. I know.
Okay.
I got to set up an appointment with you here soon too.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll talk offline. Okay. Well, I'll put some links in the notes about the psychic ability, blind reading, and a couple other things. But otherwise, thanks everyone for being with us today, and hope that this information helped you to make some good decisions about your life and understand if you're experiencing weird stuff in your house, it's probably not your imagination.